Can't lose weight? Can't sleep? No energy? Well, welcome to America, sort of. When it comes to blood sugar, there are several ways to look at it. Most of us have had a fasting glucose run, or an A1C, or some of us both. But really, what does this tell us? What do they mean? And there are other ways to find out what your blood sugar is really doing and how it's working. Well, the answer is yes. The initial problem is, if you're working with your practitioner, do they know this, and are you able to convince him if they don't otherwise? The second issue is, what do you do with the information? I bring this up because about half of all Americans are either pre-diabetic or diabetic, and about half of the remaining have some form of what's called dysglycemia, meaning their blood sugar is too high or too low. It varies. That's probably close to almost everybody you know. So why isn't this mainstream news? Well, probably because it doesn't kill less than 0.2% of the population, but yet leaves another 30% disabled to some degree, like some virus you know of. But sugar dysfunction destroys more life than diseases, famine, and wars combined. As I've been going through this 5-part series, this is part 1, I'll have some definitions for you. Number 1, low blood sugar, otherwise known as hypoglycemia. High blood sugar, known as hyperglycemia. Hemoglobin A1C is the percentage of blood sugar, the percentage of that sugar attached to your red blood cells as a percentage. Above 6.5 is considered diabetic. Pre-diabetic is 5.7 to 6.5-ish. I'll explain that later. And it's literally average over the past 3 months. It can be up to 6 months. It does not take into account the highs and the lows for glucose during the day, or how insulin performs, or how your cell actually make energy in something known as the mitochondria. The most common test, glucose, is a snapshot in time. Perfect is 85 to 99 as a reference range, but you can get this from a finger stick or venous draw, or from a continuous glucose monitor, one of my favorites. But if you get scared, you get sick, you work out, or you don't work out, you eat too much, or you eat pretty much anything, your glucose numbers will change fairly quickly. Some foods it changes faster, and some foods it changes slower. And even if it goes up in the morning, sometimes it's called a cortisol awakening response. It doesn't mean you're immediately diabetic. This too gets very tricky when you're fasting, and yet it still can come up high with a cortisol awakening response in the morning on a glucose test. Also, when you eat, your blood sugar can surge well beyond what's considered diabetic numbers, when what's considered a glucose number, well over 150, possibly 200. Yet, this is really actually a normal thing, and we expect it to be back to normal within 85 to 99 within a few hours.